All right, good evening, guys. Good evening, and welcome to another edition of Celebrating Caribbean Culture with yours truly, John David, aka Soca Johnny. Now, as you know, we've been doing this series for a few months now, and we've been mostly covering topics related to Notting Hill Carnival and things around that. We did steel pan, we did carnival costumes, we did carnival itself, and we did soca music. Um, Now that we're past summer and we're going into the rest of the year, I thought we should divulge and start going a bit deeper into the culture. And for this event, I am very proud to present to you uh, an event on my homeland, which is called Dominica. Anyway, let me hold up on this intro. I'm gonna give people 2 minutes to join the live, and then we're gonna start the presentation.
Soca Johnny and I'm a shepherd. Hey, music box production. Hey, maybe it's my sweet, sweet, sweet country that put in that sweet feeling on me. Maybe it's my sweet, sweet, sweet country that put in that sweet feeling on me. 'Cause I can't remember when last I had a feeling like this. Feeling like this. It's like an addiction to something that I can't resist. Can't resist. Maybe it's the rum. We throwing it down. Maybe it's them sexy woman. Well, look plenty sexy woman. Maybe it's the food that tasting so good. Maybe it's the sweetest rhythm. And night passes rhythm. Maybe it's my sweet, sweet, sweet country that put in that sweet feeling on me. Maybe it's my sweet, sweet, sweet country that put in that sweet feeling on me. Watch when I come down, hey, brother in the town, I like the town. I'm at the sound, see how you leave me down. I be a vice all around, feeling up all around. Oh yeah, yeah. 'Cause when I get this feeling, I over the ceiling. It seems like I am dreaming, yeah. 'Cause I can't remember when I saw them feeling so nice, feeling.
All right, good evening, good evening, good evening, guys, and welcome to Celebrating Caribbean Culture with yours truly, John David, aka Soca Johnny. Now, as I was saying before, tonight we're doing a special presentation. This is a presentation about my homeland, my place of origin, the place where I grew up, and the place where I call home, a place called Dominica. Now, in Dominica, we have a very special culture called Creole culture, which is based around a language, it's based around food, and it's a very vibrant culture. And October, this is the time when we celebrate this culture. Now, to talk about this topic, I got a colleague of mine, and I'm very, very proud to introduce this colleague for a whole list of reasons, but because anytime I'm in Dominica, this man invites me to his platform, his radio station, and lets me do interviews and talk about my stuff and my music. So it is an honor for me to return the favor. DJ Smoove, welcome to RBKC. How you doing, brother?
Well,
Your audio is not
brother,
clear.
everything bless. Your boy DJ Smoove right here with you. What's up, people? Is everything good?
Yeah, we're good. Your audio is not clear though.
Ah, shit, fucking fit.
You there?
It's a fit.
All right. Sound like you're clear now.
All right, is that much better now?
It's better. I wouldn't say much better, but it's better. But we'll have to work with it. Anyway, DJ Smoove,
All
introduce
right, no
yourself
problem. I'm right here with you, mate.
introduce yourself to the people. Who is DJ Smoove?
All right, people, what's up? This is your boy DJ Smoove, Forever Hype.
Your audio is
I'm
gone.
your DJ's favorite DJ. I'm your friend's favorite DJ. I'm everybody's favorite DJ. Yeah.
Your audio is coming in and out. So can you just give us a quick intro again about who DJ Smoove is?
All right, so DJ Smoove is one of the most versatile DJs that you ever hear. You get that?
Yes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes, good vibes. All right, so let's get straight into things.
One of the most versatile DJs known around the region.
Yeah, man, we there? All right, so we have a delay as well, so we have to work with it.
Yeah, I'm right here with you.
All right, so DJ Smoove, let's get into things. Let's talk about our beautiful island, the place that we call home. Dominica. So for those of you, before we get into this, let me just clarify. We have an issue in Dominica where anytime we tell people Dominica, people think we're talking about the Dominican Republic. We are not talking about the Republic. We are talking about the Commonwealth of Dominica, aka the Nature Island. All right, so get that clear and let's clarify that. So Dominica is sometimes referred to as the heartbeat of the Caribbean. Why is that?
The reason why I would say that Dominica is referred to as the heartbeat of the Caribbean is due because a lot of people have said, a lot of historians have said that if Christopher Columbus, who was so-called tagged to be of discovered the Caribbean, if he came back to the Caribbean right now, Dominica would be the only place that he would recognize. It is virtually untouched. Everybody's idea of what the Caribbean should be, that's what Dominica is.
All right. So for the little bit of audio that cut out there, what DJ Smoove said is that basically Dominica remains untouched. It's still green, it's still beautiful, it's still natural. All right, so a quick intro. If you're trying to sell Dominica to someone from, let's just say I'm a random British tourist, I don't know nothing about the Caribbean, never been anywhere, and I'm curious, what would you say to me?
All right, I would say, first, I'd ask you, what is your idea of the Caribbean? What do you think about when you think about the Caribbean? That would be the first thing that I'd say. Most people's idea of the Caribbean is always sandy beaches, sunny days, complete nature, trees, rivers. And if you're into nature and you want to be one with the land,
your audio's going in and out.
Dominica is the place for you to be. If you want to experience
beautiful waterfalls and rivers and beaches, Dominica is the place to be. And if you want to experience the freshest food, the most pure food, the cleanest water that you could drink anywhere in the world, if you want to take care of yourself, if you want to take care of your health, you need to be in Dominica. Dominica is just the place to be. We're also the island with the most centurions. So that in itself should say a lot.
Yes, yes. My grandmother is not quite a centurion, but she's up there and she's still alive. So for those that didn't catch that, what DJ Smoove was basically saying is Dominica is a very natural place and we have a lot of waterfalls, a lot of hot water springs, rivers, fresh water, fresh food. Great for if you just want to rejuvenate.
In abundance, mate.
In abundance.
It's not that we have it in abundance, and that is what makes us so different.
Yeah, yeah.
From a lot of the islands. That's what makes us the heartbeat, because you can get everything, every single thing that you can think of, you can get it here. I've had a conversation with Tony Rebel from Jamaica, international reggae artist Tony Rebel, and he came to Dominica and told me that he wants to live here. He's from Jamaica. Jamaica's just as green as Dominica, but he's like, Dominica brings him back to what Jamaica used to be back in the days before the development and so on and so forth.
Good vibes, good vibes.
Dominica is at everybody's hearts. Even the people actually from the Caribbean, Dominica's in their heart as a place that they would want to be, because Dominica has everything that their island would have to offer and then some.
Good vibes. All right, so adding on to that question, give us a few examples of things that you can do when you visit the Nature Island.
Can you repeat that? I didn't quite hear what you said.
I said, give us a few examples of some things you can do in Dominica.
Okay. So you can do kayaking in Dominica. You can do hiking. You can do snorkeling. You can do whale watching. If you're, I know some people are into bird watching, you can do bird watching. We have an extensive number of different birds and parrots and hummingbirds on island as well. If you're into butterflies, that's also something that you can also experience. Head into the butterfly farm. The hot water springs is another thing that you can do. We can also do whale watching here. That's another thing. Without a shadow of a doubt, we are actually known for, in the Caribbean, being one of the places where sperm whales naturally swim in our waters. Orcas, so you can see a lot of whales, you can see dolphins, just about anything to do with nature and being one with nature. You can experience it in Dominica without a shadow of a doubt. And these are things that are not seasonal. That's another note. You can do this year round. So anybody that wants to come in for a vacation, it doesn't matter what time of the year you come for vacation. You will be able to experience any of these things. You want to get into, you want to do your ecotourism, Dominica's the place to be. You want to get natural massages, you want to just go to a natural spring, Dominica's a place to be. And this is a thing that we have year round. We have this daily, as a matter of fact.
Good vibes. You're making me homesick, brother. You're making me homesick. Anyway, so Dominica is home.
You're wrong, man. You need to come home.
You know that, my brother. Anyway, moving forward, Dominica is home to a very unique culture. Now, I can tell you it's unique because I myself, and I'm sure my colleague DJ Stephen, I've traveled around the Caribbean, and not just that, I've been to various places in the world. And Dominica has a very specific and unique culture, and we call it the Creole culture. So Creole culture is based among many things, but it starts with a language. So DJ Smoove, what is the Creole language and how did it originate?
Okay. All right, so to my knowledge, I'm originally born in England, as some may know, but grew up around Dominica and with my parents, and always tried to find out my heritage and history and where we originally came from. So unfortunately, I can't speak Creole. I can understand it a little bit, but to my knowledge, Creole derived from the slaves, as a matter of fact. And this was their way to be able to communicate without the slave masters understanding what they were saying. Anybody who even researches remotely of the history of Dominica would know that we were not only just under the rule of the British, but we are also under the rule of the French. So we had people from both the French and from Europe dealing with the slave trade here. So you'd have French and British slave traders. So that was, at the time, a way for the slaves to be able to communicate amongst each other by coming up with a language which was basically, like, they would call it broken French. So it has some aspects of French in it, but basically it's a lot of French, and I think also using some of their native language, which dates back obviously to Africa, which is where we originally came from. So we're putting this together is how the Creole language came about. And it is definitely around the Caribbean. The islands that use the Creole language the most are definitely Dominica and St. Lucia. It is very widely used in St. Lucia, as a matter of fact. You go to the banks, to the businesses, and people speak Creole. Whereas in Dominica, you'll find it's more indigenous around the Kalinago territory, and with a lot of people that live in the countryside. There are people that live in Roseland environments that also do speak Creole, but it is not a primary language on the island.
All right. So just to clarify for the people listening, DJ Smoove just mentioned the Kalinago territory. For the people that don't know, Dominica is one of the few islands that still has the original indigenous residents still living on the island, and so we call them the Caribs, as in the Caribbean. These are the original people, obviously before the Africans arrived, but their name that they call themselves is the Kalinago. So we still have Kalinago people living on the island and in the Kalinago territory.
That's correct.
So moving on.
That's correct. Well, they have their own territory, and they definitely stick with the culture. You know, if you want to see and experience what life was like, and even have an insight into how the original Arawaks or Kalinago people lived, Dominica is also another place for you to come, because unfortunately, amongst around the Caribbean, we did have Kalinagos around the entire Caribbean. Right now, to my knowledge, Dominica has the largest population of Kalinago people in the Caribbean right now. So Dominica is also a place for you to come and even get back in touch with your history and realize how these people used to live. You can see the straw huts that they used to build still available. You can still see them right now. They still use a lot of the indigenous techniques to build houses that's still being used right now as well. So you can definitely come to the island and see this, and see the canoes and so on and so forth, their traditional hunting techniques. All these are still being used, and they teach it to the upcoming generations so that the history will definitely not be lost.
All right, I see my colleague Nina. I think she switched on her camera by mistake. Okay, so I see some people are already sending some questions through. To those listening to the live, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the talk. So we're gonna, please feel free to send your questions through in the chat, but we will address them at the end of the talk. All right, DJ Smoove, moving forward. October is known as Creole Heritage Month. What is that?
Okay, Creole Heritage Month. Dominica is another place that I would say, in traveling to a lot of the islands in the Caribbean, Dominica is one of the islands that I would say that is definitely in touch with their culture. They have a very deep-rooted culture. So Heritage Month starts in October. It basically oversees our independence season. It also sees us, you know, definitely paying respects to our ancestors in dressing in traditional wear. For example, yesterday was Flag Day, was National Flag Day. So that was celebrated in a lot of people driving, having their cars decorated with their Dominican flags. A lot of people were definitely decorating their houses, their porches. Some people you'd even see dressed in full Dominican wear. They would have, you know, I saw a friend of half and a flag wrapped around his top, around his bottom half, you know, paying respects to Flag Day. So it's something that everybody definitely takes part in. And even if they don't do that, then you'll see a lot of people posting via their Facebook page, via their WhatsApp statuses, Instagram, whichever is their social media platform of choice, and basically sharing the Dominican flag and the coat of arms, you know, in respect to the island.
Okay.
I would also say, in addition to heritage, not just the flags, you know, we also have later down in the month, we have Creole Day, which is on October 25th. Ironically, it's my birthday, which is on Creole Day, where, you know, you'll find a lot of people will be showing the Creole foods, Creole dress, and so on and so forth, you know. That is a lot of what goes on. Everybody gets it.
So we're gonna
even with the radio stations, we try to. Sorry.
No, it's fine. Carry on. Carry on.
Even with the radio stations, we try every day to play some more indigenous music, more Kadas and more Kadas Lipso music, which is definitely the music that you hear around the Creole season time. Jingping. and so on and so forth, which is natural. I can't pronounce the proper names, but they use a tom-tom. They use a lot of the naturally made instruments on the island to make such music.
All right, good vibes. And obviously we're gonna speak in a few, very shortly. We're gonna speak a bit more about Creole Day. But carrying on about Creole Heritage Month, obviously. October, as we said, is Heritage Month, and it's the setting for major celebrations in Dominica. And you yourself know, this time of year, I'd usually be on the island. You know what I mean? But obviously, circumstances are different, so we're doing what we have to do until we get to the next phase. However, to the people not familiar with the Caribbean culture and not familiar with how we do things in the Caribbean, can you give us an insight? What is, firstly, the World Creole Music Festival?
Okay, the World Creole Music Festival is an event that was put together around about 3 decades ago in Dominica, which was originally to showcase Dominican music and to showcase the Creole culture and Creole heritage, to encourage people to come to the island and experience our music, our heritage, and also bringing together a lot of different music, because, you know, we don't just listen to Bouillon and Kadas, we listen to Zouk as well. Some of the music is actually influenced by some of these other genres. So the World Creole Music Festival was put together to showcase that, and to, I would say, basically to bring unity amongst the islands and amongst all the other genres, and to showcase what could be done in Dominica. It originally started from Eddie Toulon, may his soul rest in peace, and it has continued through the years, and it has gotten so big that we have had artists such as Wyclef Jean, Elvis Crespo, Tamaya, Jack here, Marshall Montano, and the list goes on and on. So we have music from all over the Caribbean, I would say, because when you talk about Elvis Crespo, obviously that is more, that is definitely Spanish. You know, when you speak of Cassave, which is one of the greatest bands out there, they're also featured on the World Creole Music Festival. Wyclef Jean, which also definitely has his roots in Haiti. You know, when you speak of Jack Marshall, then you talk about Trinidad, you talk about Jamaica. So you see, we bring everything in the World Creole Music Festival. This is the one festival, one of the greatest in the Caribbean, I would definitely say, that everybody has to experience at least once in their life. And it's a 3-day event. How many places do you go and you get a 3-day event with basically every single superstar that you want to see from multiple genres at one event? That's very rare.
Yes, and I can definitely co-sign. World Creole Music Festival is an event that something you need to experience in your lifetime. I've been there multiple times, and as I said, if it wasn't for the current pandemic, I would be on the island right now in anticipation of that very event. So, people, it's something to put on your bucket list. Moving forward, again, with more festivities we have during the Creole Heritage Month, what is Creole in the Park?
Okay, Creole in the Park is basically, it was an it's an initiative that was put prior of that particular event. It's held in the Dominica, in the Botanical Gardens of Dominica. So the location itself is a location that has a lot of heritage to do with Dominica. And if you realize, almost all events and everything around Creole Month is always to do with the heritage. So the Creole in the Park is like a smaller version of the World Creole Music Festival. It normally leads up to the World Creole Music Festival. First of all, it's a daily event. It happens, so that's one. It's a daily event. It's also an event that happens during the day. It starts off early. So it's an event that gives families the opportunity to come out with their kids and so on and so forth. As World Creole Music Festival is definitely a night that it normally starts anywhere between 6 to 8 in the evening and goes up onto the early hours of the morning. the Creole in the Park is something that starts around about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So this way kids get to come out. It's also a place where a lot of small businesses get to showcase their foods, snacks, even some new businesses also use the Creole in the Park as an avenue for them to showcase and have their stalls and what they have to offer around the Creole season. It is a very, very good event to attend. It's one of the nicest events. Also an event where you would also see a lot of international stars. I do believe the last one we had Charles Marshall, we had Tian Winters from Antigua, we have had a Queen Africa as well also perform at this event, and the list basically goes on into the international artists that you get coming to Dominica and taking part in our heritage.
All right, so I mean, as DJ Smoove mentioned, one thing I do love and appreciate about Creole in the Park is the family element. You know, as I said, I'm usually on the island this time of year, and I've brought my own kids to this event. And it's just a great experience. It's a great way for them to experience the culture, because usually the culture is restricted to adult events. But this is a family event where they experience the music, they get the food, they get all the little bits and pieces that they can enjoy, and it's family friendly. So that's the thing I really love about Creole in the Park. Another event that's signature is Creole Bod La Mer. What is that?
The Creole Board La Mer. Now, this is the event. It's a funny event. I'll be absolutely honest with you. For many years, in living in Dominica, I never had the opportunity or really got a chance to attend the Creole Board La Mer. But it's a fun fact behind it. The reason being is because the Creole Board La Mer is actually an event that happens on the last day of the Creole Festival, which is normally leads into the early hours of the morning. So Creole Festival always goes to early hours of the morning. You leave from Creole Festival normally, if you can hold on, because not a lot of people can continue going through partying like how Dominicans party. We party hard. So not a lot of people can make it through all 3 days. And then after going through all 3 days, the ending of the Creole Festival would be normally a daybreak, which would be, you know, around about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. And then everybody makes their way from the stadium to the bayfront to the Creole Board La Mer, where you can get just about every single piece of Creole food that you can think about. My mouth is watering right now just thinking about it and talking about it, because you can get everything: your black pudding, your roast breadfruit, your saltfish, your smoked herring, your broth, your soup, your
everything,
sauce, your pigtail, just name it. Whatever it is, on where it comes to food. So people know that Creole season is definitely it's not only just around just partying and enjoying yourself, but also food has a lot to do with it. And this is the place for you to go and be able to experience all the food. So like I said, a lot of people can't really make the grade to make it up to then. And that's the reason why I've not made it sometimes, because I'm normally one of the DJs on the Creole Music Festival. And after DJing for about 8 or 9 hours on my feet, when daybreak comes, the only thing I want to do is go home. You get me? So I don't always get to go over to the Creole Board La Mer. But for the past couple of years, I've made it a point of duty to go. The food is awesome. And not only that, you have the food, Dominica being a place where I said nobody parties like us. A lot of the bands that are at the Creole Music Festival, the local bands that is, also
I think you're frozen there. I think DJ Smoove is frozen, so let's just wait for him to get back. So yeah, he was talking about Creole Bod La Mer, and what he's saying is actually true. You have to be a soldier, because Creole Music Festival is a 3-day event, and it is very You know, it's enjoyable, but it's very intense because we party hard, as he said, and it's a lot going on. And you have all your favorite performers. Oh, I think DJ Smoove is gone. Let's see if he comes back. But yeah, so after partying for 3 days straight, at the end of Creole Festival, when we head down to Creole Bord La Mer, which translated into English means Creole by the sea. So Bord La Mer is by the sea, and it's the end of the Creole Festival. And we head down there and we party.
That's right. And for those who don't know, we party hard. And we party, normally the Creole Bord La Mer goes on till about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, at least, minimum. So for those of you who have not been here yet and you're planning on coming, because I know what we're saying, you're like, yo, we should be going down now. I will tell you guys, prepare yourself, because remember, I've told you we have Creole in the Park, Creole Festival, and then Creole Bord La Mer. So you have an entire week with the Creole in the Park, and then you have 3 nights of pulsating music with the World Creole Music Festival. And then you start off early in the morning. So you're gonna go from the night to the Creole Bord La Mer and continue partying and eating and drinking and having fun until probably about 12 o'clock in the afternoon. So by that time, you should be worn out.
Definitely. But one thing we left out, and I intentionally left this out because this day stands out on its own. I know you mentioned it before, but I need you to readdress Creole Day and how important it is to the culture, because Creole Day for me is a whole concept by itself. You know, I mean, I remember growing up back home and we used to look forward to Creole Day, and we used to go to school. And when you're going to school, them time there, you little boy, and your mom dress you up and put your white shirt and your black pants and your sash and this and that. Tell us about Creole Day.
Your red sash, you know already.
Yeah, your red sash.
That is, I think it is very important to Dominica, to the people of Dominica as well. The reason being, as you said, you know, you used to look for it when you was young, you know, your mum would dress you up and so on and so forth. But I'll let you know this much, that tradition hasn't changed at all. And that is what makes it so special and also important to Dominica, because everybody takes part in it. You know, the schools make it mandatory. You have to come to school dressed in your Creole wear. And as you said, with the boys, it would be the red sash. You know, you got to have your white shirt. The sash has to tie on the right, on a particular side. It has to be on the correct side. Proper black pants, you know, your proper white shirt, well ironed down. Everything has got to be on point. The girls, just as much as the boys, well dressed up. I had to dress up my son last year. If anybody checks out my Facebook page, you'd actually see a picture of my son. It has something that is very much important, but it's also become a tradition amongst the generations. And I think the importance of it is the fact that it means that our younger generations will not forget where they came from. They will not forget the traditions which are indigenous to the country, which is something that I think a lot of people definitely suffer from, is that the younger generations are not really in touch with things that we used to do before and so on and so forth. That just don't happen. So this being indigenous to Dominica and they're making it, you know, something that is mandatory even through the schools is very good, very important to just about everybody on the island. You know, and it's not only that, it is beautiful to see the dressing, to see everybody dressed up, you know, the men, the women. And like I said, the traditional wear is very nice, but with the younger generation, they have taken it to another step. So you literally see all the guys, all the girls, everybody's dressed up. You know, a lot of people are dressed in their Creole, wearing their madras shirts and so on and so forth. And it is just So beautiful to see the entire island. When you walk into Roseau, the entire city looks lit up with all the vibrant colors, because people don't just stick it to the regular madras. They definitely put a switch to it, you know, add some flavor to it. You'll find a lot of bright colors. It's a wicked time to be on island, just to see the way that people take pride in dressing and getting their outfits together.
For the people listening, that DJ Smoove keeps referencing Roseau. Roseau is the capital of Dominica. So when he says Roseau, that's what he's talking about, the town, the town center. And something he didn't mention, I know you mentioned it's in the schools, but it's not just in the schools, it's in all the businesses. So you go into the bank, you go into the supermarket,
it's everywhere.
Everything, everybody is in it. Everybody in the Creole thing. And that is one thing I really love about my country. That part of our culture, we take it very, very seriously. All right, so talking about Creole Day, another thing you mentioned as well, with reference to Creole Day, is food. Now, Creole season, you get food, as you mentioned, you get it Bodlame, you get it Creole in the park, but the specific day that you really get Creole food is Creole Day. Elaborate on that about a bit and tell us about some of the dishes that you can expect to experience.
All right, well, you know, as I say, a lot of the dishes that I mentioned that you'd be getting on the Creole Bodlame, that's what you're going to be getting on Creole Day. And there are some foods that people look forward to. For example, crab back. Everybody looks for their crab. People look for their crab callaloo. People look for their crab backs. You know, that, like, people are advertising their crab backs right now. And like to go, it opens the doors for people to be able to get that. So you'll be able to get your crab backs, your crab callaloo, your broths, your different types of soups. You're also going to be able to get titiwi. Accra titiwi is also another thing that you'll be able to get around this time. You know, ironically, it's normally the season.
You can't just say titiwi, just say, explain to the people, why is titiwi?
Yeah, you know, I forgot. Okay, so for those of you who don't know what titiwi is a very, very tiny fish that is normally, you can get it in the rivers, only in the rivers, and you can also only get a particular time. If I'm not mistaken, it's normally when the moon's coming up. I think when it's full moon is normally when guys go and fish for it in the river. And it's very small, as I said. I don't even know how to describe it to you, but they normally wash it up and they make it into Accra, which is a paste, and they make Accra titiwi with it. There's saltfish Accra, which I'm sure a lot of people know, but not everybody knows about the Accra titiwi. It may just be specific just to Dominica, or I know a lot of other islands have different names for different things. They may have a different name in another island, but in the islands I've been to, I've never heard anybody speak about it. And anybody who does speak about it, they always call it titiwi, and they always reference it to Dominica. So much so that I do know a lot of people do actually freeze it, and they may send it out to other islands for people who would also want to make their titiwi Accras or whatever the case may be. And there's a village in particular which is called Layu, which is a village on the river, also a village along the west coast, which is normally known as the main place for titiwi, the titiwi village. And around this time, well, not too far from now, in a few weeks, they normally have their village feast. And normally at their village feast, you can also get all different types of titiwi, roast, smoke, titiwi pizza, and the list goes on and on.
All right, so DJ Smoove, I'm gonna have to keep it moving because I know time is pressing on. I know you want to elaborate more on the food, but let's start talking about Creole music now. As we know, Dominica is the home of all types of music. We're just gonna touch on a few. The first one I want you to touch on is the traditional one, the old school one, the one that we relate to our grandparents, etc. We call it Jingping. What is Jingping music?
Jingping is a music that originated on the slave plantations, normally in Dominica. And it's also known as Dominican folk music, you know, and where people normally dance around in a circle. There's a particular dance for it as well. My uncle, may his soul rest in peace, used to teach it, which the dancing is called Dominican quadrille, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a particular dance. I can't do it, mind you. So nobody don't ask me to do this stuff. Nice dance. It's very good to see the people do it, you know. And like I said, in Dominica, a lot of people are definitely trying to always keep the heritage alive. So you'll find that there are actually younger people rather, who have picked up the quadrille dancing and are also continuing to teach it on to younger generations.
All right. So up next, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna play a very short clip of Jingping music, just so the people and them can hear what it sounds like. This is the Girodel Jingping. Girodel is actually my village. This is where I'm from. And one of the people in that band is actually my family. So have a quick listen and then we move on. All right, so that was just a quick clip just so you could hear what Jingping music sounds like. Now we're going to move on to a next style of music, which is also traditional, but this style of music is a bit more youthful, a bit more energetic, and this style of music is called La Pocabre. What is La Pocabre music?
La Pocabre, or as some of us may just call it on island, straight on. Lapo. Lapo Cabaret is also known as Chante Mas. It is definitely music that you'll find around the carnival time or masquerade song. It's normally done only during the carnival season. You normally hear it. I grew up coming down to Dominica when I was young, and I always remember at least a week or two before the carnival started, Juve and so on and so forth, before carnival in St. Joseph City, you would find people coming out with their drums, with their La Pocabre, and going around the entire village, and everybody's going around jumping. You have guys with their horns. To me, what I used to see La Pocabre as is people would get, you know, they'd get heavy old truck wheels. They would get triangles, you know, people would make drums, guys would get bamboo, and they would literally have like a band on the road out of all these instruments, you know. There's guys that used to be walking around the truck wheel and they'd be beating it, you know. There'd be guys that would have the big bass drum hitting the drum, and trust me, there ain't nothing that got rhythm like La Pocabre. When you hear that beat, when you hear that drum start to hit, you got to move. You just have to move. It doesn't matter where you are. You could be at your home. And I think that's the reason why they used to do it in Juve morning. They used to do it early morning, because you could be in your bed sleeping and you
wake up.
You start to hear that bass drum. That's up. You're gonna walk out. You're gonna say, "What's going on outside there?" And then next thing you know, you find people jumping up in the band in their slippers, jumping up in the band and in their pajamas, just enjoying themselves, because La Pocabre is an infectious music.
All right, so we're gonna play a quick short clip again. We're time conscious, so we're gonna play a very short 1 minute clip of what a La Pocabre band sounds like. So my colleague. right, so let me give some credit to Russ Moses who put that video together. So yeah, that was a quick short clip of a La Pocabre band. As you can see, is mostly drum influence. Something you have to highlight in that band as well.
Rasmo, big up Rasmo.
Big up Rasmo. And something you have to highlight as well is the Conch Shell. The Conch Shell is a very important element of not just the La Pocabre band, but Dominica culture in general. You know, when the fishermen come from fishing and they return to the bay, that's what they use to sound so that people know that there's fish available so they can go out and buy. And it's also part, as you can see, of the carnival and music culture.
The Conch Shell.
Very important part.
Very, very, very instrumental tool in La Pocabre and also in bouillon music. But I will get into that just now.
Well, I think you said it at the right time because that's the next thing we're going to talk about. So, people, now we're going to get on to the actual popular music. So, the different styles of music we just spoke about, the Jingping is traditional, tends to be associated with the older generation. The La Pocabre is also traditional, but is associated with all generations, to be honest, and carnival and party. But the actual popular music in Dominica is called bouillon music. DJ Smoove, tell the people what is bouillon music.
That's right. I'll give you bouillon music is a touchy subject. I'll say that much. I'll give you my personal views, my perspective of bouillon music. Bouillon is something that started back with a lot of people, everybody recognizes it, definitely starting back with WCK, and a lot of people will say, will debate as to who actually started bouillon music, but bouillon music was a collective effort of WCK members, which at the time were Wackers, Cornell, and Keith, and also leaning on the expertise of Ra, who came into the band originally as a drummer and then started doing lead vocals with the band and writing a lot of, and being the lead singer on a lot of the popular songs that you know from WCK today, Balance Batty and much, much more. Balance Batty being the number one, but there's so much more that he contributed to the bouillon music. Over the years, I would say bouillon has definitely evolved. It has changed a lot. A lot of people always recognize bouillon with WCK and First Serenade, but WCK has evolved, changed. League also always kind of tried to remain the same band as well, and they still do their things. Unfortunately, one of their members passed away some months ago, so condolences goes out to the members of the First Serenade band, but they're still doing their thing. And then bouillon continued to evolve into what it is today. And a lot of people I've realized that a lot of people are not necessarily familiar with the bouillon acts, artists, and bands of today, which would be Signal Band. Big shout goes out to Signal Band. Shelly, who's the lead singer of Signal Band, who also does independent music. Then we have artists like Rio. Rio's a young artist coming up with, who we call the Bouillon Prince, who actually, I think, has the most viral song on YouTube, as a matter of fact, because he has a song on YouTube with well in excess of 3 million views, and that's a bouillon song. And then we have Trilogy, we have Ace of Bantan, we have Kex Mafia, we've got Fetty Mac, we've got a lot of artists on the island that need the exposure that a lot of people need to know more about. But bouillon has definitely evolved a lot. And one of the newest acts to the bouillon, one of the most controversial acts, I would say, right now to the bouillon scene is Ridge Cross the Bridge. Very controversial, very talented young man who both composes, makes rhythms, plays the keyboard and the drums all in one. Almost like a one-man band, basically.
All right, so DJ Smoove, I don't know if you realize, but your audio cut out there. I assume the name you said was Ridge. Ridge is one of them artists, new artists that's really making big moves in Bouyon music right now. And we have a whole list of artists. We can't leave out another big name in the Bouyon music is a guy called Asa Bantan. But you can't leave out myself. I myself have some Bouyon music, and you can go and check out my music on Spotify or all other digital streaming platforms if you want to hear the sound. But let's put a pin in that, because right now we're going to
That's right. We have Soca Johnny and we have Mr. Guana as well. I can't forget to mention Mr. Guana, Soca Johnny, and Carlin XP.
Yes, salute the queen, Carlin XP. She is the one leading the charge for Definitely. The females. But we're going to jump into a quick clip. This clip is from a young band. They are called Signal Band. And they're going to give you a nice little vibe of what Bouyon music sounds like.
Let's go. Whoa. Give me the Conch Shell. Let's go. Hear them now. Let's go.
The youngest and the baddest and the brothers.
Let's go.
That's it.
Let's go. Whoa. All these sexy ladies are from Dominica. Let me see us in the you come, you jam, and you pay for the woman by time speed. Somebody take your time.
Yes,
All right. So as you could hear, that clip there has some serious energy, and I want to shout out the guys over at Signal Band. Shout out Shelly, Anwar, and the full team. They are doing some big things. So if you want to listen some Bouyon music, as I said, I myself have some songs, but you could also go and listen to Signal Band and any one of the other names that we mentioned. All right, DJ Smoove, I'm gonna move on quickly because I know we are running out of time. So we're gonna move on to the summary so we can try and get a few questions in before you have to pop up. So before we go, I want to ask you one thing. Obviously, we've had the pandemic, and as we've been going on and on, usually this time of year we have big, crazy events going on, Creole in the Park, Creole Festival, etc. Obviously, we're not having that this year. How have you, especially you being a DJ and entertainer, how have you been affected by, how's the Creole season, I should say, affected you this year?
Woo. It's been rough. I'll say that much. You know, it's not just the Creole season. The entire pandemic has been rough on the entertainment industry on a whole. That's worldwide, you know. Definitely in Dominica, where we have a lot of events and so on and so forth that are seasonal. However, you know, in the midst of being backed against the wall, you always need to try and come up with something new, come up with something different to kind of keep you going and keep you occupied. So for me, the pandemic gave me a lot of time to sit down and think about what I want to do, where I want to go, what can I do, how can I reinvent myself, what can I bring new to the market. And I think during that time of the pandemic, it gave me a lot of time to sit down and think about, and even take a step back and look at the music industry in Dominica, you know. And I always like to try and do something different. So I spoke with a friend of mine and we came up with a new initiative that I'd like to tell people about. It's a new movement, rather, which is called Kubuli Band. Kubuli Band, for those of you who may know Dominica, you'd recognize the first part of the name Kubuli. Kubuli is an indigenous name for Dominica, which meant tall is her body. So we use that as in Kubuli to represent Dominica. And bad, some people may look at bad as something bad, but as we know in street terms, or even using it in the street, that bad would be looked at as something that is weak, something that is good, something that is deadly, using a Dominican terminology. So this is where we came up with the name Kubuli Bad, to bring that aspect, to let you know that Dominica has a lot of good things because obviously everybody normally looks at Dominica as just bouillon music. You know, people will look at Guadeloupe as just French music. They look at as Jamaica as just dancehall and reggae music. However, in recent times, we've definitely seen that every island, everybody's putting out their niche. Everybody has artists that are definitely talented on different fronts. You know, of recent times, we've had the influx of music from Trinidad called Trinidad, which is dancehall from Trinidad. We have had a lot of people from Guadeloupe, as a matter of fact, even a lot of French artists doing bouillon music. So it just goes to show that music is definitely universal and definitely a family. So we came up with this Kubali Band initiative because there are a lot of artists on Dominica who do a lot of reggae and dancehall that are not necessarily getting the recognition. So came up with this initiative to bring unity and awareness to Dominica and to the music. And with that said, we actually have we have our second album compilation coming out on October 29th, which obviously is within the Creole season, but we're looking to push more than just Dominica. We're looking to reach the worldwide.
All right, your audio is cutting out there. DJ Smoove, obviously your audio is not doing well, and we've come into the end of the event, so I'm going to, if you want to do, okay, I think we got you back now. If you want to do a quick 1 or 2 sentences summary, and then we're going to go through some questions from the audience before we wrap up.
Okay, well, summary basically, you know, there's more to Dominica than just bouillon music. I'll tell you guys that. There is this new wave coming, which is called Kubali Band. So be on the lookout for that. You check out all the streaming platforms, all my links are there. You definitely see stuff to it. You can see a lot of the video that is not only bouillon, we have a lot of talent out here that you will definitely get to know about.
All right. So let me just say thank you, DJ Smoove, for coming through. And as he said, DJ Smoove has his Kubali Bad brand. And for those that didn't quite get what he was saying about Kubali, Dominica, the original name for Dominica before it was colonized was Whitey Kubali. So that is the name that the Kalinago people had for Dominica before it was colonized. So we still use that name. It references our beer is called Kubali, and various things on the island we use to reference the original name of the Dominica. So Kubali Bad is a reference to the original name of Dominica, and it's a new style of music that DJ Smoove and his team is bringing forward, and I personally look forward to hearing it. Definitely go and check that out. All his details are there on the screen. And before we go, let's just take a few comments from the audience. So Melissa wants to know if we'll be recapping the audio. Yes, I will be uploading this on my personal YouTube page next week, so you can check this session out and all the other sessions. Again, we apologize for the audio. Not much we could do, unfortunately, but yeah, it will be on my YouTube page, so you can check the back recording. Is it safe in Dominica? From Gaino. Gaino, I can tell you Dominica is literally, if not the safest, one of the safest places on this planet. I have traveled all over the world, and there's nowhere that's as safe as Dominica. Trust me. I mean, everywhere has crime. Dominica has crime, just like everywhere else. But compared to other places, Dominica is literally one of the safest.
But Dominica, definitely. Dominica is probably one of the only places in the world that you can, without a shadow of a doubt, probably leave your keys in your car, go to bed and go to sleep, and your car's still going to be there in the morning. You can more than likely go to sleep and leave your front door, and nobody's going to come into your house. I've made the mistake and leave my house and left my front door open, come to work and came back home from work a few hours later, and I was like, damn, I left my door open. But it's Dominica, you get me?
Yeah, definitely. So Gaynor, trust me, one of the safest places you will ever see on this planet. C has said to all panelists and attendees, blessings one and all, Sister C. Thank you, Sister C. What kind of sport do you play the most? DJ Smoove, you want to answer that question?
Right now, see, now I've gotten older. I don't play as much sports as I used to, but the sport that I used to play, as a matter of fact, was basketball. Back in the days, fun fact, when I was in England, I actually used to play basketball for the University of London.
Okay. Moving forward, the next comment we have had.
Do you get that?
Yes. You play basketball, and I believe they were asking what kind of sport do you play on the island, though. I think football is probably the most common sport you find
The
on the
only
island.
sport that I'm playing on the island right now. One of the most common sports on the island is cricket. I don't play cricket. I'm not into it, honestly.
Okay. Good stuff.
But cricket and football would be the most popular sports
on the island. All right. We had a comment from Peter Letang, I believe it is. Yes. Peter Letang said we should move from referring to the people who were enslaved as slaves. We should refer to them as enslaved, which is what they were. I agree. I agree.
Right.
I definitely agree. We need to stop using that kind of language and speak about our ancestors more in a more positive and respectful light. Sorry, I can't see this person's name, but that person has elaborated on La Pocabre. Something we forgot to mention. La Pocabre actually means goat skin. So it's the Creole name for goat skin. So La Pocabre is actually goat skin drum. That is what it's called.
That is absolutely correct. Yes, it is goat skin drum because the skins of the drum, especially the bass drum, were actually originally made from goat skin. Yes.
I've had, thanks, John. It was great reading about home. Carry on before we carry on.
And I was going to say, to my knowledge as well, a lot of we used to around carnival time. It's also indeed that's something that happens even up season, and you have your goat soup, your goat water, and so on and so forth. And normally, when animals are killed, they do actually try to utilize everything from the animal. So the skins is what's normally used for drums, not just for the La Pocabre, but on a regular basis, so that we always have drums.
All right. So what I believe you cut out there, what DJ Smoove just said there is a popular dish, just paraphrasing you, a popular dish in Dominica is goat water. It's basically goat meat soup that we make in Dominica. It's eaten all over. Someone else said, Lib CB has said, thanks, John. Was reading about home. Hope to see the recording as I couldn't hear it. I know we apologize for the audio. We'll try and see what we could do. Melissa has said, wicked session, thanks to the host and panelists, and apologies again for the late to the party, queued at the door. No worries, Melissa, thanks for attending. BJ has said, thank you so much. Please check out my sport, the Zango Sport YouTube. Okay, we'll check that out. Jackie, my colleague Jackie, how you doing, Jackie? Thank you, John and DJ Smoove, really informative and entertaining. And that is the end. Once again, I want to thank you, DJ Smoove. I really appreciate you taking out the time. For those of you who are free, DJ Smoove, I believe you're about to do a radio show. Okay, I don't know if you can hear us, but he's in his Vibes studio. So if you want to go and find the information for Vibes Radio, he's about to do a radio show. Check out DJ Smoove, who's about to go on live now. Once again, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Thank you to DJ Smoove, and look forward to the next one. Moving forward, we're going to be doing different islands. We've already got Barbados next lined up. We're going to be going through all the islands and exposing you to the various cultures that existed in all the islands, but it was only right that I started with my island. So thank you, people. Until next time, keep on the lookout for the next edition of Celebrating Caribbean Culture. Give thanks.